tied within a nice piece of cloth and gave it to them. He said, just have faith in whatever I am giving you and just keep walking and you will be able to cross the ocean. So they said, okay, that's fine. And then to their surprise, they found that the ocean is now knee depth. They were just able to walk. And in between, the demonic tendency clicked in. They said, what is there in this small pouch? Let us open this. So he opened. One person. Then he found a leaf, this Sri Ram. So these two words. And he started laughing. Come on, these two words and the ocean has reduced to knee depth and we are able to walk. What a joke it would be. I don't think this is true. And the moment, because of his ego and pride, he insulted the names of the Lord. The moment he lost that faith in the holy name of the Lord, the ocean came back to its ocean existence and all of them drowned. So there are so many such examples, such pastimes that we can read from scriptures where the name of the Lord is considered to be so powerful. One time, one person, a very prominent businessman, this has happened in the Kaliva itself, I believe, from the Tulsi Das Ramayana. I think this pastime comes. So this businessman, he was so busy, he went to a sage and he said, Swamiji, I am not able to find time to do any worship. He said, really, are you 100% busy? He said, 100%, no time at all. What about when you pass to? He said, yes, that time I don't do anything else. At that time you can take the name of Lord Ram. He said, really? So then he started practicing with full devotion and faith. And one day Hanumanji was just traversing through. And he saw that this person, while doing such an abominable activity, taking such a holy name of Supreme Lord, then he went and he slapped him. Of course, he didn't realize who slapped, but he slapped him completely, he was swollen. And then from there he went to see Lord Ram, Hanumanji. And to his surprise, Lord Ramchandra was sitting with his right cheek swollen. He said, oh my Lord, what happened? Well, one of my devotees was very sweetly, very, honestly and sincerely, praying for me, taking my name, and suddenly you went and you slapped him. That is not so good. And because he was remembering me, that slap actually affected me. Then Hanumanji realized that apavitra pavitrova sarva avastha gato piva yasmaret pundarikaksha abhyavayam shruti. That internally or externally, whether you are clean or not clean, the moment you take the name of Lord Hari, you are cleansed. Sa abhyavayam shruti means cleanliness. That is the name of the Supreme Lord, the powerful name. Wherein we don't, of course, that doesn't mean that we should not maintain the cleanliness, but the idea is the name of the Lord is so powerful. So the Lord appeared to give His holy name and to establish the principle that as the days will progress, the name of the Lord is going to remain eternal, and that will become the main medium of worshipping the Supreme Lord. Tretayam Yato Kriteya Dhyayato Vishnu Tretayam Yajato Makhe Dvapare Parichayayam Kalautat Hari Kirtana. So also in the Kathopanishad, I believe, it is mentioned that how the four different, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam, 12th canto, it's explained the four different yugas and the process of worship. Kriteya Dhyayato Vishnu. In Krita Yuga, Satya Yuga, it was meditation. And Tretayam Yajato Makhe. In Treta Yuga, it was worshipping or doing the 5 sacrifices, Ashwamedha Yajna or different type of yajnas. In Dwapara Yuga, it's Dwapare Paricharyaya, doing the Archa Vidra, and Kalautat Hari Kirtana. So the Hari Kirtana is there all across, but gradually the efficacy of the other processes will reduce, and the one that will remain is Hari Kirtana, the name, the powerful chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Hari Smarana and Hari Kirtana. And that is what exactly we do as a practice of our yoga. Then coming to Ravana, the great demon. So to give a bit synopsis, even before we get into the character of Ravana. These pastimes of the Supreme Lord, one has to understand that they are like drama. They are like pastimes, they are called Leela. Because one may say that we just mentioned that Ravana is nothing but, he is Jai Vijay, right? He's Jai, the elder brother. And he came down, and now he knows that he's doing it for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. But here now we see his character is so inimical. How is it possible? So the Acharyas explain that the drama or the perfect drama is when the character is lost completely, is fully immersed, he lost his personal identity and he puts himself into that character. And here Ravana was exemplifying that particular character. Even though his eternal constitutional position is, he was a great devotee of the Lord, but in this particular pastime, he had to do that thankless job for that matter. But at the same time, he did it so wonderfully that every time we refer to the Ramayana or for that matter any other scripture wherever these demons appeared, we take their names. We have to remember how effectively they perform their activities so that it appears as if it's a real-time activity. So that we can remember these pastimes again and again and get purified. So Ravana was born to a very respectful lineage. He is a great grandson of Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma's Manasputra, Pulatse Muni, and Pulatse Muni's son Vishrava. And unfortunately he got married to a demons, Hargis Kaikas. And as a result of that union, they got Ravana. Ravana, for that matter, is a very, very learned person. He was called as Veda Vadarati. He was having perfect knowledge of all the four Vedas, perfect exposition of all the Vedas. He can do wonderful fire sacrifices. He is a great singer. He has having so many qualities. He is a great fighter. But one thing that differentiated him or distinguished him as a demon is his inimical attitude towards the God. In other words, this particular attitude could be there amongst us also. So whenever we try to compete with the Supreme Lord and try to expose ourselves as the God, that means we are actually feeding our demonic tendency. We are feeding the Ravana-like tendency within our heart. Yesterday we were discussing that about the Karma Yoga. So in Mahabharata also, Duryodhana and Arjuna, both of them, or all the Pandavas also. So they all were doing their jobs very nicely. Duryodhana was a perfect administrator. Duryodhana was also very nicely taking care of his subjects, the citizens. But what was the problem? The problem was he was inimical to Supreme Lord Krishna. He never wanted to surrender. Janati dharmam nachame nirvati. Janati adharmam nachame pravati. Kenapi devena adhisthitena yatha niyukto siddhana. Duryodhana was also graduated from Dronacharya's school. He was also well qualified with the scriptures. He said, Janati dharmam nachame pravati. I know what is dharma, but I can't stop. I can't execute it. I can't follow it out. And Janati adharmam nachame nirvati. And I know that I am performing adharma, but I cannot stop from indulging in that activity. Kenapi devena hridisthitena. As if there is some powerful force is sitting within my mind. And whatever is instructed, I am doing it. And that's how, when we feel this bad dog within our consciousness, the demonic tendencies, then they overcome us. And then we are under the control of that particular enemy. And that enemy is nothing but the enemy is sitting in the mind. Bandhur atmas tasya tenatmaiva atmana jita. what is it?
Anatma.
Anatmastu Shatrutve Vartet Atmaeva Shatrutva. So the mind can be your best friend and also can be your worst enemy. A trained mind can be your best friend. An untrained mind will be a host of all the negative tendencies. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madhavansari. The lust, pride, greed, anger, illusion. And Ravana's character was exemplifying all these negative qualities at peak. The first thing he did, greed. He went and he usurped the kingdom of his half brother, Kuvera. The Lanka is not his manifestation, it was not his brainchild. It was Kuvera's. And Kuvera happened to be Vishrava's first wife's son. And technically his elder brother of. Just want to request if everybody can please move forward a little bit to create space for the people coming behind. So he usurped the kingdom. He also stole the Pushpak Viman. The Pushpak Viman is state-of-the-art technology. I mean, those of you who want to do some more research, do on, this is coming from our Vedas. It's called Vimana, I don't recall the exact Sanskrit word, but the technology itself is prevailing.
Pushpak Viman.
No, Pushpak Viman is the name, is the output of the technology, but the technology itself, the science behind that. So this Vimana itself, the plane that was stolen by Ravana, the Pushpak Viman, is so sophisticated that it doesn't require the outer shell. You can go with open cabin. You just go like this in the air. If in the normal jets, if you go, completely blasted. But here, such a sophisticated technology, and it can go with the speed of your mind. So if whatever the driver thinks, I want to go here to take you. It has an auto adjust feature also. It can take as many passengers as you want. If you have only one person, it's sufficient for one person. If you have 100 people. Interestingly, in Ramayana, when after the Yuddha, when Lord Ram, along with all the monkeys, they were traveling in the Pushpak Viman. Just imagine how many monkeys were there? Innumerable. All the monkeys were sufficiently accommodated. As if it was not enough, when they were passing over Kishkinda, Mother Sita said that why don't we pick up the wives of these monkeys also? So they stopped there and they picked up all the monkeys, the white monkeys also. Even then there was a space, and all of them they went to attend the coronation of Lord Ramchandra. So such things were, of course, very unrighteously acquired by Ravana. And then he performed severe austerities, tapasya, to get immortal. And his type of austerity also is different. As we were discussing the tapasya in the three modes, the mode of goodness, passion and endurance. So what Ravana was doing is, he was offering, just like we do ahuti, we offer ghee into the fire. He was offering his limbs, one finger, little bit like that, into the fire. To the extent that he was completely frustrated. Lord Brahma, he was worshipping for Lord Brahma to appear. And at some point he got so fed up, he said, now I will chop off my head and offer it to Lord Brahma. Then Lord Brahma appeared and said, okay, what do you want? That seems to be very determined. And for that matter, demons are also determined. We can learn that determination from them. As devotees, we might not have that much determination to get the bhakti of the Supreme Lord. But the demons are so well determined. But their idea of determination is overpower the Supreme Lord. So he wanted to become immortal. Lord Brahma said, I myself is not immortal. How can I offer you that? He said, well, do something but give me. He said, okay. Then he applied his own intelligence. And that is typical human tendency. We try to solve the problems by our tiny, puny intelligence, the problems of our life. But we fail to understand that there is somebody else who is controlling everything. Everything is being orchestrated. So we have to apply the intelligence only to the extent we can exercise that. So here, then he said, in his mind, there was a loophole in his ask to Supreme Lord, to Lord Brahma. He said, we should not be killed by any living entity. I mean, anybody like Gandharvas or the Devatas or this and that, except two categories he forgot, or he didn't mention. He didn't think it was worth mentioning. That was human beings and animals. He thought these guys can never beat me. He was fully confident. So except these two, he kind of asked pretty much everything else. Lord Brahma asked. And with that prowess, he started now conquering everything, all the three lokas. So everybody, all these devatas and the other residents of the other lokas within this material universe, they were all forced to worship him. And that's how he was trying to replace himself with Supreme Lord. He wanted everyone to worship him. The same problem Hiranyakashipu also. Sa ittha nirjita kubera vishayam priya yatopajosho gunjano na tripya ajiten priya. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam about Hiranyakashipu that he was able to conquer everything externally except ajitendriya. Na tripya ajitendriya. He could not control his unsatiating desires. And only one person was sufficient for him to give the message. That was his own son. Likewise, here Ravana was able to conquer everything, but still he was always miserable. And we'll see how that lust, the unfulfilled lust, lusty desires, led to his pitfall. So as I said, we are setting the stage for his destruction. So few very important pastimes that happened that eventually led Ravana to create the ditch for himself, or creating his own, as they call, digging his own grave. And that's exactly one of the lessons that we can learn is the power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Here, Ravana was somehow experiencing that monopoly of power, the autonomy, autocratic power. And whenever that autocratic power comes into picture, the person forgets his original position. And he succumbs to the false ego, thinking that he is the real controller. And he thinks that everything should be according to his own dictation. And that's when he will commit sinful activities. And those sinful activities will eventually lead to his downfall. So, the top three things that happened with Ravana, which really created the curses for him, like filling the negative bank balance. The first one was, he was just going in this Pushpak Viman, in the Himalayas, he saw this beautiful heavenly damsel kind of person worshipping, doing some tapasya. And this person, Ravana, actually if you read Sundarakand also, when Hanumanji goes, he will see so many kanyas, or so many daughters of so many kings, and wherever he saw beautiful women or girls, he used to bring them, kidnap them, and marry them. So still he was unsatisfied. His lusty desires were never satisfied. And here he saw this person, this Vedavati. And he went and he asked, okay, so what do you want? Are you married? He comes directly, he went and proposed, he said, no, I'm not married, but I want to marry Vishnu, and I am meditating for that. Then he says, come on, why Vishnu? Marry me, I am better than Vishnu. He said, no, get lost, I want to just wait for God Vishnu to appear. Then suddenly he becomes very agitated. And he tries to pull her with her hair. And she was also a very strong personality, and she just cuts the hair and releases herself from the clutches of Ravana. And then she says that now that this body has been touched or contaminated by a demon like you, this is no more eligible or qualified to continue the worship of Lord Vishnu. So I have to give up this body. But before I give up, I must curse you that I will come back again and I will be the cause of your destruction. And immediately she invites fire and she offers herself into the fire. And Mother Vedavati herself comes back as Mother Sita, which eventually lead to the destruction of The other mistake that Ravana did out of his overblown false ego, he was just traversing and he went to, he was just going through somewhere, and immediately a person stopped him who was, he was not looking so nice, having different characteristics, with some monkey-like face. He said, "Come on, you cannot go here because this place is governed by Lord Shiva, and this is a Rudra, so you should not go. Stay away." He said, "Well, why? Because it's Lord Shiva's. You should respect the boundaries of other people. Why? Why should I do that? I am Ravana. I am the emperor of all the three worlds. Why should I listen to your Lord Shiva? And who are you?" Before that, he decided, "Who are you?" First, monkey-faced person. Then this person gets angry. He's Nandi, none other than the person servant of Lord Shiva. Then he says, "Well, before I will not let you go or cross this place, but I must curse you for the insult you did to me. That very soon, you will be you will be destructed, or the monkeys will be the cause of your destruction. Because you insulted me like that, I am cursing you that the very own monkeys will be the cause of your destruction." And all the demigods, Devatas, they all appear in the Ram Leela that we discussed later. And then further, so this became the other reason why, that's how all the monkeys, including Hanumanji, everybody, they were empowered. And they ultimately caused the destruction. Then he went, as it was not enough, he was traversing through Himalayas, through heavenly planets, and he saw again this heavenly damsel. And again he got attracted to her. And then this lady said, "See, I am married and I am going to meet my husband, please get out of my way." He said, No, please, you should marry me." He was so lusty person. And she rushed, and who was she? It was Hana, the wife of Nalakura. Who was Nalakura? The son of Kuvera. So Kuvera himself being defeated from Ravana, and Nalakura also is aware of that, and doesn't have enough power to defend or to oppose Ravana. But then he said, "I will give you a curse that if at all from today onwards, if you try to molest any woman against her will, your head will be blasted into 100 pieces." That was the third curse he attributed to his credit. And while continuing to do that, he also started, troubling so many people, so many kingdoms. All the devatas were pestered badly, and they all went to Lord Brahma. They said, "We have to do something to control this guy." And they all went to the Supreme Lord, because Lord Brahma said, "I myself cannot do anything, so we have to take shelter of Supreme Lord." And then they went, they requested, offered Purusha prayers, and the Supreme Lord prayed, "Okay." So Lord Brahma says that, "My dear Lord, in all the types of benediction he asked, he missed two things." He said he cannot, he can be killed he cannot be killed by anybody except human beings and animals. So you have to take birth in the human's family, as a human being. And that's how Lord appeared as a human being in the family of Dasharatha, the king Dasharatha. So we see how, because of the uncontrolled desires, Ravana was committing sinful activity one after another. And that's why a very, very important lesson that we learn from Bhagavad Gita is Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsah Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammoha Smriti Vibhramaha Smriti Vibhramshat Buddhinasho Buddhinasha Pranashyati. So Krishna gives a very logical sequence of how we ultimately fall down in this world. Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. That when we contemplate on the objects of sense gratification, Sangas Teshu Pajayate, we develop the attachment. The billboards, the modern day advertisements, the TV shows, the movies, All these are the agents of Maya. They are constantly trying to tell, okay, come on, you can enjoy, you can do this, you can do that. And when we get exposed, we are developing attachment. Sangas Teshu Pajayate. Sanga Sanjayate Kama. And because of that, we develop the desire to enjoy. Kama. Kama doesn't mean this is lust, but a desire to enjoy. And the lust is an entity which can never be fulfilled, according to the verdict of scriptures. It is like a mirage in the desert. When you see that there is a pool of water, but when you go, you will never be able to achieve that. And uncontrolled desires. Krodha, Kama, Krodho Vijay. Uncontrolled Kama leads to Krodha, anger. And Krodha Dhopi Samoha, that leads to delusion. Samoha Smriti Vibrama, that leads to forgetfulness. And Smriti Bhramsha Buddhi Nasha. And once that is done, then you forget your intelligence, you don't know what you are doing, and you commit sinful action. And you eventually fall down. So such a logical sequence. So one has to control right at the first point, contemplating on the objects of sense gratification. So we should limit on what we are exposed to in this world, and try to create an environment for us and for our own family or for our own friends, so that we create a conducive atmosphere for us to contemplate on the spiritual things. So that we can think about Krishna, think about Lord Rama, instead of thinking about the objects of sense gratification. So like this, the Ravana, because of his lustful desires and uncontrolled anger and false ego, he was committing sinful activities again and again and again. And he accrued so many so many curses also, that eventually play a big role in his fall down. And whereas in Ayodhya we see how Dasarath Maharaj wanted to beget sons, so he performs the Putra Kamishti Yajna, and where then he gets 4 sons. They are nothing but the Chaturvya, the Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana and Vasudeva. So Vasudeva feature is Lord Ramachandra, the Sankarshana feature is Lakshmana, Aniruddha is Shatrughna, and Pradyumna is Bharata. Bharata is nothing but his epitome, his representation of Dharma and righteousness. And then we all know, I just cut short this particular section. So how at the time of Lord Rama becoming the crown prince, he gets stopped, interrupted by Kaikeyi, who gets misguided by Manthara, and then she asks for 2 boons, and Lord Ramachandra exemplifies again that perfect son by just to behold his father's statements as true. Against his father's will, he will go for 14 years to the forest. And the second wish was for Bharata to become the king. And of course, Bharata didn't like this. He chastises, he comes back, and then he establishes even higher principles that we'll discuss. 2 great characters of Ramayana. So Bharata, he represents that epitome of austerity, detachment, and righteousness. Kingdom, like we see, for the sake of few acres of land, the brothers fight. The father and son may fight. The families get split just for wealth. Very, very small wealth. And we are talking about an emperor and complete empire, and somebody is getting it freely. But it takes a lot of desire and a lot of control to actually establish the principle of righteousness. So Bharata does that. He actually lives in the palace, but as an ascetic. He never sat on the throne. He rather went into the padukas of Lord Ramachandra and kept it there. And on his behalf, he ran the show. He was sleeping on normal floor, so as if he was in the forest itself. And so the Acharya's experience is even more austere. To live in the palace, be in the palace, but living like an ascetic. And Lakshmana is the next, and this is very important principle that we also try to learn about how Lakshmana is being designated as the most glorious personality by Agastya. So after everything happened, after after Lord Ramchandra returned back to Ayodhya, so Agatsimuri comes and he says, okay, Lord Ram, tell me what was happened. And then he tells, and then he says, do you know, according to me from what you told, the most glorious person is actually Lakshmana. He says, really, why? He says, because if Lakshmana would have not killed Indrajit, then Ravana would have not been killed. And to kill Indrajit, one has to have 3 benedictions. That is interesting, such a nice connection. So Indrajit has a boon, has a benediction that he can be killed only by a person who has been celibate or brahmachari for 14 years, who has not slept for 14 years, and who has not eaten anything, anahar, eaten anything for 14 years. And Lakshmana met that criteria. So Lord Rama said, no, wait. So he said, 14 years, he said, you didn't eat, but every day, we used to get the fruits, and always I used to give you one fruit. So how can you say you didn't eat? Then said, my dear brother, well, you always say take it, but you never say eat it. So I just took it and I gave it back to the forest. Really? Then he says, okay, let's go to, he asked Hanumanji. Lord Ramchandra is doing all this to glorify his own brother. He said, since those fruits were touched by Lakshmana, so they must be very, imperishable. So go and, get all those fruits. So Hanumanji goes and he gets all the fruits. So he counts the 14 years. Interestingly, 4 fruits less. So Lord Ramchandra, that means we wait for 4 days. He said, no, my dear brother, 4 days that day, you didn't give me a fruit. So what are those 4 days? There is one day when Mother Sita was kidnapped. Second day when we actually won this war. So that day, out of the happiness, we didn't eat anything. The third thing was when I was actually I was struck by the astra by Indrajit, the Shakti shield. And there is one more. What's that? There's one more place, one more thing. So it is 4 days. You actually didn't give me the fruit. That's why I didn't eat. Just wow. But then how about the sleep? He says, well, the sleep is because before getting to the forest, I prayed to Nidra Devi that, oh Nidra Devi, please don't disturb me for 14 years because I have to serve my brother. So, and then she said, okay, but when should I come to you? She said, the moment we win and if you come back after 14 years, then you can come to my eyes. And then he says, oh my brother, if you remember, when you are being coronated, I was holding the umbrella. And you might have seen the moment you got coronated, Nidra Devi came to my eyes and I slept and that umbrella fell on your feet. And that was because all these 14 years I was not asleep. I never slept for even for a moment. And the moment Nidra Devi came, I actually lost my control. Says, wow. And then what about brahmacharya? Said, well, the concept of brahmacharya in those ages was different. Even looking at a woman is considered to be a non-brahmachari activity. So he said, we all, you, me and your sister-in-law, Mother Sita, were living in the same hut. So how can you say? He says, well, I never saw Mother Sita. I always looked at her feet. And the example, the proof of that is, if you remember, when we were coming back, when we were searching for Mother Sita, so there were these ornaments. And the monkeys asked, all the Vanas asked, okay, do you know? And Lord Rama asked, do you know Lakshmana, if you can remember? He said, I can only recognize the anklet because I had only seen the anklet. Whenever he saw his sister-in-law, he never saw her face to face. So 14 years, or for whatever period of time, for 13 and a half years or 13 years in 4 months. So 8 months or 10 months she was in Ravana's empire. But all this while, he never saw Mother Sita. Such a perfect example. So that's how Lakshmana has undergone so much of austerity. And Lord Ramachandra says, as a younger brother, you have gone so much. So in the next life, I will become younger and you will become elder, and I will serve you. And as Krishna also then further as Balaram, still Balaramji also had to undergo some interesting qualities, pastimes with Lord Krishna. Then we just end in 2 minutes about the 16 great qualities of Lord Ramachandra. The one is the Gunavan, principled one. the Viryavan, potential one, Dharmagna, conscious one, Kritagna, redeemer, Satyavakya, truth teller, Dhrudavataha, the self-determined, Charitravan, one who is having good conduct, Sarva Bhutahitaha, one who is the well-wisher of all the beings, Vidwan, the scholar of all the scriptures, Samartha, the most able one, Samartha, Sadaika Priyadarshana, one who is always lovable and good to look, Atmavan, courageous one, Jita Krodha, one who controls his anger, brilliant one, Jyotiman, Anasuyaka, one who is not having jealousy, and Kasya Bibyati Devasya Tata, Roshasya Samyuge, for whom even Devatas also were afraid to stand before him in war, when he was grew angry. So such wonderful qualities, will not go into details, but one simple benediction that he has given, the vrata that he has taken, when Vibhishana comes back to take the shelter of Lord Rama, and of course Ravana banishes him. He says, you are not fit, you are like the serpent in our own home, so better you go off. So he comes and then so Lord Rama asks in the camp, he asks to Jambavan, he asks to Sugriva, he asks to Angad. Everyone says, my dear Lord, I see that he is coming from demonic family. At the end of the day, he is the brother of who? Brother of demon Ravan. So we cannot trust him. One says, it looks like this is all Ravana's plot. He's coming with some plans, some sinister plans, and it's difficult to give him shelter. Like that, everybody were giving their own views. Then he asked Hanumanji, what do you think? He said, my dear Lord, I think he has a very sincere urge and desire to surrender to you. And you should accept his plea. And further than other people in the camp, they said, no, Hanumanji is very innocent. Please don't, get fall prey to him. It looks like this person is not worthy enough to give shelter. So we should be careful. So Lord Ram said, my dear friends, let me tell you that even our mother, Maryada Purushottam, I have never portrayed my prowess. He said, my prowess is not even this, Vibhishana. First of all, he tells two things. One is, you are afraid about, Raman. Basically, just with the, the toe, if I just touch, I can destroy all the clan of Ravana. So don't worry about it. Ravana cannot do anything. And second thing he says, Sakrit eva prapannaye tavasam iti yachate. Abhayam sarvada tasmai dadam etad pratam. That for all the time to come, O my devotees, please declare that Sakrit eva prapanna, that anybody who comes to my lotus feet, to my shelter, and just says, even Sakrit eva prapanna tavasam iti yachate, even unknowingly, or even upahas, even by jokingly also they say, oh Lord, I am yours. Dadami etad abhayam sarvada tasmai. That this is my vow, that I am going to give him the eternal fearlessness. Dadami etad vratam. I am taking this vow. So don't worry. Anybody, be it Vibhishana, today, tomorrow, if Ravana also comes, if he just says, oh Lord, Ram, I want to surrender to you, I will accept him. And this is my promise. So Lord Ramachandra is such a magnanimous personality. He is giving us this wonderful promise, the vrata that he has taken, that anybody and everybody is just going to Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, and praying, oh Lord, I am yours. Please take me your shelter. The Lord is offering fearlessness. And fearlessness in this world is a very big thing. Fearlessness from the clutches of this material energy. And giving us a spiritual boost, a spiritual shelter, so that we can go to his abode. And as Lord promised, whoever approached Lord Ram at the end of the Lord Ram's pastimes, all the Ayodhya Vasis, they all went along with Lord Ram to Ayodhya Nagari, the spiritual world. So that is how the Supreme Lord, Sri Ramachandra, appears and establishes the perfect principles of ideal human being, and further he also demonstrates these wonderful qualities, which is very wonderful for all of us to learn and to pray and develop the humility and that attitude of surrender so that we can attract His mercy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Sorry for taking a little longer. Any quick questions or comments? Anybody have anything to share? If not, then we'll jump on to the next part of our event. That is, we are going to have a wonderful aarti. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.